When I was little, my father was famous. He was the greatest samurai in the empire.
Someone asked me earlier, I can't remember who it was, I think it was someone named Brenda. I remember someone named Brenda, what do I do outside of this? And so I am a graphic designer by training. I originally went to college for physics. I was a physics major. And then after a couple years of that, this was the late 80s because I'm old. After a couple of years of that, I wasn't quite sure what to do with that. I honestly didn't. You know, Reagan was just getting out of his presidency. It just looked like one of these things where it's like the nuclear industry didn't look like something I wanted to be involved in. And the concept of being like a popularizer, like Sagan was, there was Sagan and that was it. To be doing something like this and pushing science in the public sphere like this was not even on the radar. So I was like, I can't see what I would want to do in that field, even though I love it. I don't know what I want to do with it as a living. So then I moved on to my other passion, which was, you know, illustration and design. So I went into that. Let's see. Yeah, it was. So I went into that, and so now I continue. You know, you never get rid of if you love math, you love science, you never kick it. It's always there. And so I kept up with it. I continued my studies in different ways, and I apply a lot of that now to my design and work I do for a living, which is I do presentation design for litigation, for court cases. Lawyers, they have a message that they want to convey. Generally, we do patent stuff. And they need someone who can help craft the facts, the evidence into a presentation that people can understand. So if people wonder, is like, you know, how do I, you know, make these things? And people say that I'm really good at explaining things. That's what I do. I help people explain things for a living. I tend to do visually, but there's a lot of counseling involved at our company and helping people break down the details that they need and turn it into something that people understand. Because especially in the technology field, both medical technology, computers, there's a lot of cutting edge stuff happening, a lot of stuff happening that people don't understand. And when you're dealing with judges and juries, a lot of times they are, mature, let's put it that way. And so they're not necessarily up on the latest technology or the latest things. And so you need to be able to explain it to them so that they can properly judge the case. So I do a lot of tutorials. We do a lot of jury consulting in order to find ways of explaining things that people can understand and explain it to a judge. A judge, if he doesn't understand the technology, he can't try it. He can't try it properly. So we need to be able to explain those things. So that's what I do for a living. I help lawyers explain stuff. And lawyers pay. It's one of the few things I found that I can do as an artist and actually make a living. So that's what I do. Outside of that, I also teach martial arts at Soja Mind Body in Berkeley. I teach 7 to 12-year-olds and also do some adult self-defense training for people in addition to my own training. So understanding how to talk to people, break down concepts, figure out where their mental barriers are, even their physical barriers are, and be able to explain things in a way that they can understand is something that I've been crafting over the years. So that and my natural gift of gab, I make a living off of talking to people. So that is what I do. And then for fun, I also draw, and I used to do comics in the 90s and things like that. It's a lot of indie stuff. So that's me. Yes, I'm in Oakland. The martial arts studio is in Berkeley. Do I follow GSW? I don't know by initials. Please explain. Khabib or McGregor. I never vote for McGregor, even though he's good. I never vote for him. Do I train BJJ a little, mostly so I understand what people are using on me? I don't necessarily. The difference between with BJJ, the whole goal is to be on the ground and finish people off. Be on the ground. I prefer to stand up. So I've trained some BJJ and I do some sparring with people who do BJJ so that I understand the techniques that they're using so then I can then turn it toward what I want to be doing. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that's what we're talking about here. Yeah, snide people. So yeah, it's not my thing. But it's a craft that I'm very interested in, and like I said, I train it just a little bit. But my main martial art, I was a boxer when I was younger, and then I got out of that mainly because just got to working and doing things like that. But so my main martial art is silat. It's an Indonesian martial art. You probably notice it from the movie The Raid. Raid Redemption and Raid 2, those were both silat martial art movies. And so it's really a lot about really the up close. It's an up close fighting system, which is what I like. There are throws, there are kicks, but it's all really about being within that sweating distance. It's like really being on someone. And also has a lot of it has good forms. So there's a presentation aspect to it. There's a performance aspect to it. Unlike some martial arts like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is all about the craft. I don't even like to call, and I know people will consider it a blasphemy. I don't consider Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu so much of a martial art. I have my own term for it. I call it a martial craft. Because that's what it is. It's about creating a specific goal, establishing a specific goal. There's not, for me, martial arts usually have a presentation aspect of it. There's a beauty or a flow. There's that aspect to the martial art. So it's things like mixed martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In my brain, I consider them martial crafts. Like in arts and crafts. So because they're about, arts and crafts. So that's what I consider. Do I watch UFC? I watch, but I don't really follow. It's like I see a fight coming up, we'll pick it up at the martial arts studio and we'll play it there. But I don't follow because pretty much all those guys are assholes, and I just don't have time for assholes. It's just it's a business. It's so much of a business. It's all about the presentation and the attitude and this and that. And it's like, just make a bunch of brackets and go. Yeah. So, let's see. Who's on the shirt? Oh, some people are just getting here. I will later on, probably in the morning, I'll put a link. This is a little flat Earth. It's a little flat Earth, and it says, I'm not real. So, Mad Dog, if BJJ has a dance element, I have not seen it. Maybe that's not the way it's trained here. Maybe that's not the way it's trained in America. Maybe more traditionally it is. But yeah. So, Sean, yeah, capoeira, that's different from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That has a different thing altogether. Okay, good. Because I wasn't sure if you were serious. You might have known something more about the history of the martial art than I did. So there you go. I did not design this shirt. I will put a link in the description. Specific. Aikido is like martial arts dancing, kind of. I actually Equinox, and like I said, I'll probably separate this off the main video. I'll probably download everything and re-upload. Equinox, last month, the spars. Every month we have a sparring lab called Fight Lab at Soja Martial Arts, and we invite people from other schools to come and other training to come and just test their stuff out. It's kind of like, you know, it's like see what it's like being with someone who's of a different tradition. Friendly people, full contact, gloves, no gloves, you know, depending on what you want. You just pair up with people of different sizes. It's no weight classes. You just get up and you just spar for as long as you want. I was sparring with somebody for like 8.5 minutes the other day. But someone came that was an Aikido person. And he came specifically for the reason to see how it worked for someone that, used a different type of martial art and was more aggressive. So it was very interesting because I've never sparred with someone who did Aikido before. And he had never sparred with someone who was intentionally trying to hit him and not allowing them to throw, to grab a wrist. And he was very frustrated, but he did it so he could take it back and discuss it with the people he trains with about how it's different. So Aikido is an interesting thing. Something about greatest of all time that would be Ali. I don't know about in terms of MMA. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. I think we'll probably do a separate one at some point that's just about just non-science things, though. Honestly, there's a science to martial arts. Yeah, there's a science to everything. Science is behind everything, people. I like to think in terms of martial arts, martial craft, and martial science. There are ways of breaking down martial activities into the scientific principles: force, mass, acceleration, balance, centers of gravity, fulcrums, leverage. It's all science. Yeah. And no, I don't drink, but my wife likes Guinness. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. People, thank you very much for. It seems like it was pretty civil in there. I saw a little bit back and forth. Thanks for defending me the way you do. But at the same time, I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to reiterate what I said in the very beginning. Let's go back to the beginning of this video. What I said in the beginning: when you're defending me, when you're criticizing someone who's criticizing me in a specific way, stay away from the kind of the petty, superficial, sexist, homophobic attacks. That doesn't work with me. All right, everybody, I'm going to take off. I will give you at least 24 hours notice. Yeah, probably a typo in the link. At least 24 hours notice before the next live stream. And let's try to move forward with the science now. Let's try to stay away from the drama. I have some demos coming up that I'm working on. I'm actually picking up a P900 next week, just renting one for a week. There's some stuff I'm going to be doing on the bay to test one out. I want to get to know it before the P1000s come out. So I will be putting some P900 demos together. Thank you very much for all you do. Take care, everybody.
That's my job. That's what I do. I don't lose. I win. Is there no one on this planet to even challenge me?
Maybe you came by to congratulate me on last night's victory.